Most guys aren't unlucky in love, they're just stupid in who they choose. You keep picking the wrong girl, toxic, selfish, draining, and then you wonder why your life's a mess. It's not her fault, it's yours. Original masculinity is the answer to the problem, and I'm going to show you why. Today, I'm exposing the real reasons men keep sabotaging their future with the wrong woman, and how to recognize that danger before she ruins your mission. My mission here in this video is to help you understand the reality that there is such a thing as the wrong kind of girl. As you heard me allude to in the intro to today's video, there are some people out there, and it's men and women, but we're talking about the women that you're trying to choose. There are some out there who are toxic and selfish and draining and exhausting. And if you decide to partner up with them, well, the sad truth is, without major change, you're signing yourself up for a lifetime of misery. If you go after a girl, particularly one who's very materialistic, who's very much just about the external appearances and trying to have the latest piece of jewelry, the latest handbag, and you don't ever see evidence of internal substance, character, kindness, compassion, hard work, shared load carrying, all that kind of stuff. If you're not seeing evidence of that, that's a warning sign to you. Now, as I said already, you may have previously been in a relationship that fell apart because of some of the stuff I'm talking about today. Well, I want you to be pre-warned to not make the same mistake again. And if you're a younger guy or a long-term single guy, I'm trying to help you from avoiding this mistake and falling into this deep pothole that can actually take years and even a lifetime to get yourself out of. You see, a lot of our young guys today have not been mentored, they haven't been shown a role modeling experience of what it looks like to choose a woman of good character, hard work, someone who wants to share a load in raising a family, someone who's not purely focused on external image and materialism and all these things that are cheap and temporary and fade away and don't actually contribute to a healthy, long-lasting partnership, marriage or relationship. For those young guys, it's really important that you stop and ask yourself, what kind of friend am I surrounded by? What kind of girls as friends am I surrounded by? Do I actually see some character traits of the kind of person that I would like to spend the rest of my life with? If you can't see it, then you need to reach out to some older men in your circle, some brothers in your brotherhood, and say, how did you get this decision right? Or what mistakes did you make that I could learn from? Because for you young fellas out there, I can promise you there is no shortage of middle-aged and older men who are talking to me all the time, face to face, on social media platforms, on phone calls that I have with people, telling me about the mistakes they made in their selection, and those mistakes went on to bite them on the backside really hard for a very long time. And I'm trying to help you to avoid that. No doubt there will be some guys watching this video today who have been through the experience of a toxic relationship with a woman that failed and fell apart, and maybe very sadly, and I have great empathy for you. Maybe you have been through the hellish pathway of divorce and a family that's broken apart and all of the horrendous difficulty that goes with that. For guys who might have been in that situation, I want to talk to you as well about, before you re-engage with these possibilities again in your future, understanding the kind of things that cause relationship conflict and what you can do about it. You see, one of the things that I've been doing for almost 30 years is I've been engaged in pre-marriage and pre-relationship counseling. I've literally helped hundreds of young men and couples to try and get their thinking and their foundation right before they cross the line of deep and serious commitment. Now, for a lot of people, that moment is getting engaged or moving into the same house together. Whatever that means to you, it's so important, whether it's your first time around or your second time around or your third or fourth or more times around contemplating a long-term relationship with a woman, it's so important that you build the foundation before you cross the line into deep commitment. Why? Because once you've made that commitment with an engagement ring, or moving into the same house together, or you have children together, all of these things are serious commitments. And at that stage, when you've already crossed that line, it's so hard to bring any adjustment to the nature and the character and the personality of the person that you've coupled yourself to. The fact of the matter is, it would be so much wiser. Ask any man who's been through this journey or who is in this journey right now, and I'm going to talk to you guys specifically again in a moment. Ask any man who's been through it if they had another chance, if they could do it over, if they had another opportunity to actually select or take their time and go a little slower. I guarantee you they'd say yes, because the groundwork gets done before the commitment, and it's really hard, not impossible, but really hard to make those changes where relationship conflict is happening when you're already beyond the point of being committed to one another. It's so important that even though your relationship may have ended, you may have been through divorce, or you could be in the middle of it right now, and it's an indescribably painful journey that I would never dare disrespect, as I said. But I want to urge you, I want to encourage you to ask yourself the tough questions. How did I get here? What could I maybe have done better in my pre-commitment stage of this relationship to iron out where some of the glitches and the incompatibility actually lie? Where did we get it wrong? What could we have done better? And then start assessing where things went wrong in the relationship. Why? Because you need to understand what went wrong for your own healing and recovery journey. But just as importantly, if you're going to engage this possibility again of committing seriously to another woman, you cannot afford to put yourself through the horrendous pain of getting it wrong twice. Going through this once is hard enough, and I hear stories from men all the time that I talk to about how this goes pear-shaped and the pain that it causes. If you've been through it once, please don't make the mistake of going through it a second time by not stopping long enough to pay attention to the dynamics that are at work. One of the things that you will hear from men who've been through this kind of difficult pathway, they will tell you stories, albeit sometimes a little jaded, sometimes out of their wound and their hurt, which I understand, but men will tell you the stories in the aftermath of these breakdowns. They will talk to you about the nature in which many women, not all women, but many women, how they fight. Now, what I mean by that is, when young girls fight with each other growing up, often, not always, it's different to how young boys fight with each other. Now, some of these dynamics are shifting in our world, but I'm talking here in generalities. Before some of you jump in the comments and say, what's your qualifications and your credentials? Well, here's my credential. I'm 50 years old. I've been counseling and coaching and mentoring people for nearly 30 years. I've rescued hundreds of families from their breakdown, and I've got an incredibly low divorce rate from the couples that I've counseled and then officiated their weddings for. That's my credential. So I'm qualified to have an observational comment. And my observational comment is this, that young girls learn to fight different than young boys. Typically, young boys will get into a physical altercation and sort it out that way, or they might just break to separate pathways and go their own way in life. But very often, young girls learn to fight in a different way, and it matters that we understand this. The way that they learn to fight is they learn to fight by diminishing the social credit of the girl that they're fighting with. Now, you often hear the story about girls that are gossiping and being bitchy, and boys do it too. I get that. But we need to stay on track with what we're talking about here today. When girls do learn to fight this way, that the way to get on top is to diminish the social standing of the other female that they're fighting with, it becomes a habit in life. Now, here's where it becomes tremendously destructive and painful, is when they get into a long-term relationship with some of you men And then when the relationship sadly breaks down, what kicks into gear is all of those learned fighting techniques from a young age, where their goal, instead of going for conflict resolution, they set their new goal as going for, how can I diminish the reputation and the social standing of that man that I just dropped out of relationship with. This is where we often see the painful and traumatic, narcissistic, egotistical, nasty behavior of some women in parental alienation situations, where we do see a long lineup of stories of men who've been through the family court system, falsely accused of the most heinous of activities that are not true. And a lot of it comes from false allegations from women who are hurting and stinging from the relationship breakdown, but their response, instead of healing and recovery, their response becomes, how can I now damage the reputation of this man, diminish his social standing, and punish him by taking his children out of his life? This, folks, is a reality that's happening every single day. Now, in the name of balancing everything we're saying here, it's important to also realize that sometimes this scenario swings the other way. And we're all hyper aware of the fact that there are some men out there who have tarnished the reputation of all men by the way they treat women, what they themselves have done in the aftermath of relationship breakdown. In fact, in my own relationship with my wife, we have friends of our family who have been through the reverse, where the woman is suffering from terrible treatment from the man. So I understand that it goes both ways. And for anyone who needs to be aware of this, I am a massive advocate for men treating women properly, looking after them, watching out for them, and steering miles clear of anything even remotely close to abuse and domestic violence. I will never condone that. But in today's video, as I said, my assignment is to pre-warn the brothers about the mess they can get themselves into. Another day, we can talk about the reverse of what women can do to avoid this trouble for themselves. The truth of the matter is that in today's world, more than ever before, we are seeing young women particularly who have become excessively external appearance oriented, excessively materialistic, and excessively biased towards this false notion that a man should be of a certain high caliber standing to be good enough for them, and that his role in life is to just provide them the convenient, comfortable, cushy life that they would like to have, and they can come and go as they please. Guys, if you are contemplating a committed relationship with this kind of girl, I've got a simple message for you. Run. You need to get away from that kind of girl, either until she changes or find somebody else. That is a pathway that is laced with pain in your future. There's no such thing as a healthy relationship where one exists to serve the other and the other just is the beneficiary of the other one's hard work all the time. Doesn't exist, never works. The only healthy long-term relationships of commitment and marriages that work is when both parties understand their role is to give, to serve, to empower, to help one another constantly and forevermore. And of course, that takes the bond and the glue of trust and promise keeping and commitment. I get all of that. It's hard work. But my point is this: if you're getting signs before you commit that this is going to be a one-sided thing, please don't let yourself become overly enamored with how good she might look or how good her looks make you look. You're missing the point. You need to be looking for a woman who understands equal share, equal commitment, equal giving, equal serving. Two people who trust one another to stay committed and keep building one another up. But we are seeing a change in the way girls are being raised, and there are factors. The absence of fathers in the home is a huge factor. The absence of having the blessed opportunity to observe a healthy relationship in the home is a factor. The easy availability of pornography and the advent of hugely destructive things like OnlyFans that is urging women to make fast money by cheapening themselves and selling their sexuality online in order to buy a nice new car. This is not helping us. It is destroying us from the inside out, and it's shifting the paradigm and the lens of how women see the world, how they see men, and the vice versa is true as well, that people's understanding and expectations of what committed relationship actually looks like is being bent out of shape. All of these things that I've talked about today point to the fact that it's so important that we keep on talking about masculinity and not somebody else's hijacked definition of that word, but what I call original masculinity, which means to protect, provide, and empower. When we talk about it in that context, we're talking about men who build their life on the goal of healthy, good character traits. Men who build their foundation on hard work, generosity, serving others, being a community-minded man, protecting those he loves, providing for those he loves in partnership with his partner, and empowering the people around him, his wife, his partner, his children, his best mates. That's the kind of masculinity we're talking about. And it's so important for you men that you pursue being that kind of man. I know, just like you do, that the lamestream media will tell you that you should be a feminine man, or you should be an invisible man, or you should just be a silent man. Just stay out of the conversation, stay out of the picture, just go to work, bring home some money, and shut up and stay out of everything else. Well, I want to be a counter voice to all of that. I'm saying to every one of you men, be a strong man, be a masculine man. Return to old school original masculinity values. Why does it matter? Well, in the context of today's video of the possibility of choosing the wrong kind of girl, I've got one of the greatest antidotes that will mitigate that mistake, and it is for you to set your own trajectory on being an originally masculine man. Why? Because that kind of man attracts a certain kind of girl, and it repels a certain kind of girl. My inference is obvious that original masculinity has the power and potential to attract the right kind of girl into your life, and it's also got just as much power, thankfully, to repel the wrong kind of girl out of your life. Why? Because a woman who wants to live toxic and selfish and loose and manipulative and narcissistic and materialistic, a woman who wants to live like that does not want to be with a man who has built himself on original masculinity. She's looking for something entirely different. If you be a masculine man, you will repel that kind of option of a girl out of your life. There's a certain kind of girl that is attracted to that. And the kind of girl is someone who also wants to build her life on good character, hard work, shared values, aligned purpose, getting through tough times together. Now, I will be the first to say that just because you do these things will not guarantee for you that your relationship will work. But I will also say this, it will massively increase your chances of having a successful, long-term, fruitful, healthy relationship with your wife, with your partner that you're committed to. And we've got to get back to the old school values of original masculinity, protect, provide, empower, to help do the pre-sifting for us in choosing the right kind of girl and not making that horrible, painful mistake of attracting the wrong kind of girl. Finally, let me say this in today's episode. The truth of the matter is, no matter how many people argue against it, no matter how many stories and fictional narratives get made up, the truth is, original masculinity is good for everyone. It's good for men, it's good for women, it's good for children, it's good for community, it's good for country, it's good for everybody. There is no quality research-based evidence, observational evidence, or anecdotal evidence to suggest the opposite. In fact, I would go as far as to say that the premeditated institutional agenda against masculinity is succeeding in destroying men, thereby destroying family units and weakening society. Men, my call to you and my challenge to you, my encouragement to you is this: be a masculine man. Stop cowering when other people tell you you can't be and you shouldn't be. Ignore them. Be strong. Be masculine, because our world needs it more than ever before. I'd love you to jump in the comments and tell me your story. Give me your experiences. Tell me what you think about this. Ask a question. I'd love to help you if you need some help. That's what we're here for, to help men become stronger in all areas of their life. I hope you heard something today that helped you and resonated with you, and I would love to see you in another video real soon.